Hey, this is Sonny from Jack's. With me is Ben.
Hi.
Ben won an event last weekend. What was it called?
It was a Star City Games Invitational Qualifier.
Star City IQ out of TBS Comics in Florida.
Yeah.
You won first place, so we got an invitation next IQ, which is going to be 2 weeks from now.
Yeah.
That's correct. So we're going to talk about this deck real quick. This is Gruul Midrange. Gruul Midrange deck. So we're going to do a little deck teching. So go ahead and start, Mr. Ben.
All right. Well, starting off, we picked Gruul because Gruul is one of the best ways to attack a format filled with planeswalkers, which is what everybody's playing. Planeswalkers, and their best friend, planeswalkers.
Yes.
So we're going fast and hard with Gruul. So starting off, we have 4 copies of Llanowar Elf. It ramps your mana, gets you going way faster.
I see that you put like 4 different versions to confuse your enemy.
Yeah.
All right, 4 different versions of Llanowar Elf.
Now we only got one version of this guy. He's a new one, but he's your extra copies of Llanowar Elves. It's Arboreal Grazer.
Arboreal Grazer.
He's a 0/3 with reach. He comes down, lets you play an extra land, and just gets you ahead of the game.
Right.
So he's real nice. And then if you like mismatches, we have some mismatch shocks. So we got shock in there. It's a cheap way to deal damage, and we have some other cards coming up that let us get an extra mana. So this is definitely good to have, that you can just throw down an extra removal.
4
just
different pictures of shocks. Again, to confuse the enemy.
Yeah, that's what it's all about. Next up, we got 4 of this guy. He's another mana ramp. He's your turn 2 play. You got Domri the Anarch of Bolas. It's really sweet. He increases your creature's attack power. He can make the red or green so that you can do something extra that turn, but also works against control because they can't counter your creatures. And then his fight ability down here at the bottom lets you kill stuff. So, I mean, he just does everything you would want a card to do.
If you're aggro.
If you're aggro, yeah, of
that
course.
+1 attack for everybody, that's good stuff.
Can't be countered, makes mana, can fight, he's just great. And then here's our extra copies for the mana ramp of this deck. We have 2 Kiora Behemoth Beckoner, and she comes down and untaps the land most of the time. But she can also draw you some cards if you play some big creatures, which is nice to have.
Yeah, the big boys let her draw a card. That's nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, speaking of big boys, this guy's kind of a medium boy, but he comes down and does some good work. There's 4 copies of Gruul Spellbreaker.
Gruul Spellbreaker.
He's got Riot, so he can come in with haste, which is really important against all these planeswalkers. Also, he has Trample, which is just good at just getting in there and knocking them out. Plus, he gives you and himself hexproof when it's your turn.
Very important to have hexproof.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now we got some. We got 3 copies of Chandra Fire Artisan. She's a planeswalker, which is important to have in this deck. Since everybody's running planeswalkers, we're doing it too, but we're doing it way better. So we got Chandra here. She can, when people damage her, she deals damage to them equal to how much damage she took. She can also basically draw you a lot of cards, which is really nice to have. So that's what she's there for.
She's playing a lot of red decks right now.
Yep,
a lot of red
very
decks.
popular.
All right.
Our next and last big boy, I guess, would be 4 copies of Rekindling Phoenix.
Everybody knows what that is. Rekindling Phoenixes.
Flying, just hard
Played
to
in
kill.
every red deck in the world right now, standard.
Yeah, it's real good. Alright, and now for the biggest of boys, we have the new Sarkhan in here. We got 3 copies of him. He comes down and makes a huge dragon, or he turns all of your planeswalkers already into play into dragons, which has just been great to steal games with Domri and Kiora. And Domri makes them 5 attack power dragons, so you just swing with like 15 out of nowhere. Very explosive.
Yep.
And then we have the other good planeswalker in the deck. We got some Nissas here, which some of the lists aren't running.
Well, that's played in every green deck right now.
Yep, but not in the green reds, but I think it's going to start seeing play because it's just so great. It just gives you a 3/3 every turn. You just, make a 3/3, make a 3/3. Double all your mana. It's just great. You can do so much stuff with her.
Right.
Then after that, we have just 1 lone copy of Ugin. He's just a big, dumb, colorless thing to do. Yeah. Draw you some cards, kill some things. That's what he does.
All right.
And then we have the lands, of course. It's just, you know, all the duels you can play right now that are
Rootbound Crags.
Rootbound Crags, Stomping Grounds.
Yep.
And then just, we'll take these over here. Because then we have lands, of course. And, you know, to go along with the theme of the rest of the deck, we did mix up all the basics with different copies of them. But it's just 8 and 8 of your last ones. Of course, it's for tilt value.
Okay. What's your sideboard look like?
This is the sideboard, so we'll go through it pretty quickly. We got Chandra's Triumph here. It's just 2 copies of it. It's a way to deal damage to creatures or planeswalkers, and if you have a Chandra out, it does even more.
Right.
So that's nice. We got 2 copies of Tybalt. He's another planeswalker here. He stops opponents who are gaining life's the main importance, but I had some really sweet games with them tokens. They can kill a lot more stuff than you would expect with Domri out.
Mainly against anti-white. Life gaining
Yeah,
decks.
for sure. Anybody that's just gaining too much life and you're like, I don't like that. So you turn it off. We got the 2 Crawl Harpooners. They're mostly for flyers and Thief of Sanities, and they just come down, fight something. That's about
reach?
what they do. They do have
Reach.
reach. Yep,
Right.
reach is nice. Then we got 3 of this guy. He's just a common from War of the Spark. Nobody would really suspect him of much, but he's a 2/4 and gains you 3 life against the red decks. So if they're playing aggressive stuff, you just drop this wall and just gain life and start making mana. He's real nice.
Right, he's a big bird of paradise.
Oh yeah. Then we got 2 of these Bonds of Flourishing. It's just a way to find you an extra card, gain some more life against the more aggressive decks in the format.
Okay.
And lastly, it's just the 4 Cinder Vines. These things are great against anybody trying to cast a lot of spells or using enchantments or artifacts. You can just blow them up, deal them a bunch of damage, and that's that.
So this is the deck you won last week's IQ with. How many people can show the IQ? Like 50?
It was over 50, I think about 50.
55?
We're getting the number, she just don't want to say it.
All right.
56.
56.
Oh, that's
Okay,
right.
56.
56 is good. I thought it was 55, but 56 is good. So you came first out of 56, and then you were going to go to Roanoke, Virginia for the IQ
Yep,
itself.
2 weeks.
2 weeks. Be exciting. Be exciting.
For sure. Get to
All
play
right.
some Standard and Modern.
Yeah. All right. Again, this is Sonny from Jax with Ben from Team Jax. Right now, we're going to sign off and talk about some other decks shortly.